Good evening, all, and welcome to the Joe and Joe Weather Show on this Wednesday night, the 6th of October, 2021. Brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. 631-756-1125 is the phone number for everything you need to get you through this winter. You snow removal guys and gals, rock salt and the best prices in the tri-state area or anywhere close to the tri-state area. So give them a call. Pelleto, also mag, ice pellets and flakes and everything else you need to get you through the winter. The phone number 631-756-1125. And the website is omnitruevalue.com. Wholesale holiday lighting by Giannini, your complete holiday lighting specialist. Make your complete holiday lighting specialist, meeting all your holiday decorating needs, whether it's to get your home decorated or maybe you want to get involved in this as a business. You can give them a call at 631-957-5106. And you can see it's not just Christmas, but also Halloween, which is almost here, and we are counting down to Santa's arrival. And the website for them is liholidaylighting.com. Oh, you got your Snoopy shirt on.
Yeah, my Joe Cool shirt.
Oh, is that what that is? Yeah.
Joe Cool.
Oh, I got you. Oh, good Lord. I had waves of showers, or as Tom Grant would say it, showers and thunderstorms.
Yeah, good old Tom.
And some of those thunderstorms will have been accompanied by strong, gusty winds.
Yeah.
Heavy rain, and frequently dangerous lightning. I always like that line, frequently dangerous. Like, it's not always dangerous, but frequently it is.
Reminds me of an old Ren and Stimpy cartoon where they were making fun of professional wrestling, and the two guys are in the ring, and the announcer says, "Uh-oh, it looks like he has him in an illegal chokehold."
Oh, good Lord. Happy, joy. Stimpy! It's been a long
Yes, Ren.
It's been a long time since I saw anything from Ren and Stimpy. That was quite an original cartoon. So how was your weather day up your way?
James, I just told you off air. I mean, I sat around and waited all day for the oil man to deliver because I wanted to fill up before the oil prices got even higher than they are now. And about 10 minutes ago, all of a sudden, Renata says, "Uh-oh, I hear him." I say, "Hear who?" He says, "The oil delivery man." And this huge truck coming up my driveway. And, now the guy has to get out, pull that long oil hose. And as it's pitch dark, and we're trying to figure out, where on the side of the house, because we were expecting this to happen during the daytime. They're trying to find the lights to light up the side where the oil tank. Forget about it.
Yeah.
The oil is here. It's in, and that's that.
And what did it cost you per gallon?
I think $2.77.
Oh, all right. Well, that's
$2.77 per gallon.
That's not too bad. Michael McGuire, sorry, because he's apparently in Franklin, North Carolina. I'm about 50 miles from Franklin, North Carolina. And Bill Rogers, stop worrying about the river overflowing its banks. I'm way above it. I'm on the side of a mountain. If the river ever got to my front door, okay, I'd have beachfront property because the rest of the state would be drowned. Don't worry, I'm good. Okay, I'm good.
If that volcano in the Canary Islands finally lets loose with that Gigunda explosion and causes that gigantic landslide into the Atlantic Ocean, which will generate the 1,000-foot tidal wave that'll work its way across the Atlantic to the eastern seaboard of the United States, none of you need to worry about Mr. Chiaffi, because at an altitude of 2,200 feet, he'll still be at least 1,200 feet above the water. I, on the other hand, only at an elevation.
Yeah, I may be one of the few people left.
Right. I, on the other hand, at an elevation of 450 feet, well, it's been nice knowing all of you.
Yeah. Oh, good Lord. All right. I don't know. I was looking around today. I was looking at the climate models, the long range, and a few other things. The problem with what we have going on right now is in the Pacific. And until that breaks down, and I don't think it's going to until maybe toward the end of the month or maybe around the beginning of November. Um, until that happens, we're just going to be pretty much in this doing the same thing. I don't know. It's a pretty stagnant weather pattern. Nothing's moving. Not much is moving here in the east. High pressure. Normally, a high to the north would be a good thing, but because of the fact that it's under a warm ridge, you're going to have these morning low clouds and nighttime cloudiness. Maybe some spotty drizzle starts to show up at some point. Maybe you break out into some. Did you get any sun today at all?
Had about 5 minutes worth. Basically around early afternoon, the sun did put in a cameo appearance for a rather short interval of time, but it went right back into the schmutz. Yeah. And that pretty much was it.
And the thing is, it broke out in some places like in Massachusetts and even in a good chunk of Connecticut for a while during the day. It broke out wide open, and then there are other places where it just sat in overcast all day long. But that's part of the problem here with this. It's not that it's not necessarily the fact that you've got this high in the onshore flow. I mean, that's part of the equation, but the long October nights and the weakening sun angle create a problem. But it just doesn't have this kind of strength to burn off some of those low clouds like it would, say, if this were June or July or even in early August.
Right. As I mentioned yesterday, we're now approaching, within another week or so, the sun will be at its highest altitude, equivalent to what we normally would see in late February. So, no, we're not going to see the sun do very good work if we did have low clouds and fog to deal with over the course of the next until we get into the month of March and April of next year. So it's all pretty much downhill from here, Joe.
Yeah, got the satellite loop, and I'm trying to get the close-up shot. It doesn't always respond to me, but no matter. You can see the rotation of the upper low continues to just sort of very, very slowly move its way northward up the Mississippi Valley. There's been this arm of showers and thunderstorms. We've had some heavy rain. There's been severe weather not too far away as tornado watches are up in northwest Georgia, west of me, and into Alabama, flash flood watches and so on. But none of this, it's you look at this and you think that in a normal atmosphere, Joe, this would lift up to the northeast, but it's not going to do that.
No, it's not. And the question about that system that we've been talking about now for the better part of the last several days off of the Bahamas, and whether or not it'll come far enough north to adversely influence our weather maybe sometime over the upcoming holiday weekend. I know if you would believe the European, take it at face value, then Sunday could be a washout. But other models are saying, well, maybe it's not going to be all that bad. So we'll see how this all plays out. But it looks like of the three actually weekend days, Saturday, Sunday, and Columbus Day Monday, it looks like the one that is up in the air, so to speak, right now is going to be Sunday.
Well, a certain person with the initial SB is not going to be happy. And we'll just leave it at that. Radar tonight. Just want to kind of focus on what's going on by me because we've had some gusty downpours and even a few rumbles of thunder. Most of that has now gone to the northeast, which means that I will be able to safely walk my dog after the show is over with. I'm sorry. Let me bring this down to the right geography. And yes, I did update it, so it is the latest one. Radar is as of 7:35, so p.m. Eastern time, so it's only 6 minutes old. So showers and storms in central Tennessee. This is where the Storm Prediction Center, by the way, along with areas to the east, had a last-minute large area of marginal risk, and it's playing out to an extent with either the heavy rains and flash floodings, a couple of odd severe thunderstorm warnings, and 2 small tornado warnings that have gone up. One in central Tennessee, looks like it's well to the east of Nashville, and the other one is further north up in Kentucky, in central Kentucky. Otherwise, we've got some showers down in South Carolina, down into northeast Florida. The Northeast, in spite of the cloud cover, there's nothing on the radar. It's absolutely bone to dry from northern Virginia all the way up to Maine. A few scattered showers have made their way up into central Ohio, central and northern Indiana, Illinois, and back over into Missouri, where the upper low is rotating. And we've got precipitation from California on either side of San Francisco. Echoes showing up on the radar, going northeastward through northern Nevada, northern Utah, and on up into Montana. And some of the higher elevations there, Joe, it's in the form of snow or a mix, and also up in coastal Washington. So you got a trough in the west. And now that we're getting, every day it gets the climate gets just a little bit colder. We're starting to see the first flakes fall, even if it is like way up there at many feet up.
Many feet up.
Yeah.
I mean, at this time of the year, you still have to go up a considerable height to see anything in terms of a sizable. And of course, there are the exceptions. We touched upon the fact that I think it was back in 1987, we actually had a significant snowfall in the Berkshires and upstate New York on the 4th of October. And yes, we have had snowfall that have accumulated this early in the season, 1979 in Yorktown Heights. But you really have to have all the pieces, so to speak, to fit just right for that to happen. So, it's a crapshoot, Joe.
Yep.
What can I say?
SPC, as the map refreshes here. Oh, interestingly enough, critical fire weather area for far eastern Montana. Well, that was an old warning. They took that down. Okay, but that was, I guess, no, they actually do have it as listed as critical. There's your marginal risk. There's your tornado watch. That is up for the northeast portions of Alabama into central Tennessee and into northwestern Georgia, and of course the marginal risk that surrounds that. And over the next, no severe weather is expected for tomorrow, by the way, and for the next day, which is Friday into Saturday, we've got a small area of marginal risk up in North Dakota and northernmost South Dakota. The WPC folks, in terms of rainfall, if there's going to be a washout this weekend, Joe, they're not. I don't know if they're buying this here because their rainfall forecast total, they got 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch, just right along the immediate coast, and then it sharply cuts off. No precip in northern New Jersey, no precip by you or throughout almost all of New England. And most of upstate New York, except for the western and northern part, very little precip. A lot of what you see down in Georgia, in North Carolina, and into southern Virginia is all part of this upper low that's spinning away with heavy precip offshore. That's from sort of low that's going to form out there. And of course, you've got widespread precip from Nebraska, Nevada, northeastern Nevada, northeastward up into northwestern Minnesota. Some places inch to an inch and a half of liquid, and as we said, some of the higher elevations there in Utah and in Wyoming and Montana, probably going to see a little snow out of that, and also up in the Pacific Northwest. Guess what map I'm going to bring up?
The plumes?
No, not the plumes. Just to give everybody a little bit of a preview. They still, by the way, we've got the NAO, and the PNA, but we still do not have an EPO graphic out there. So, which is the one I think is the most important. I don't really need to see the graphic. I could just, eyeball it, but I'd like to see it since I've got the other two. But I do have the snow cover in Siberia, Joe, because we are in Siberian snow cover season. And here we are at October the 6th, and you can see the beginnings of snow cover. It's not how much snow falls, it's the actual increase in snow cover that is most important. And it's kind of starting out the way it usually does in the easternmost areas, and then gradually builds to the west. It's way early. What counts is where we finish, not where we start, and probably need another week or so to get a good idea of how this all is going to progress. And we have the teleconnections from today. The NAO is negative all the way, pretty much all the way through for the next 2 weeks. Kind of trends up toward the neutral line, then drops back negative after around the 10th or the 11th. But the problem is in the Pacific side, where the PNA, the Pacific North America Index, ridge in the west, trough in the east. When it's positive, well, it ain't positive, it's negative. So it's the other way around. It's trough in the west and ridge in the east. And it's sharply negative right now. But a number of the GFS ensembles have it going toward the neutral line, and a few of them actually have it going positive after around the 16th. I think that's probably a temporary blip, but it might be the beginning of a crack in this pattern that we're in, and that may. I was kind of when I was looking at the climate models today, and I'll bring those up. I've got the CFS up here. Let me just switch over to the weeklies. But when we look at the pattern, the weeklies are just go out 6 weeks in time. So here's the first one, which is the current week we're in, and is they're pretty obvious there. Trough in the west, big ridge here in the eastern part of the United States, and this is a 1 week average of the upper flow. Over time, when we get toward between the 20th and the 27th, you'll notice that trough in the west relaxes. There's a little troughing in the east. The trough in the Pacific just kind of starts to pull away a little bit, and then when we get into the first couple of weeks in November, it begins to relax a bit more. So maybe the argument for a front-loaded winter is I think makes some sense, but this has to, at the very least, this has to verify, because if we don't get a switch at the end of the month, we might have to push back the front end loaded winter idea.
Well, I don't think we're going to. Yeah, I think what we're going to see is a winter which is going to provide less in the way of snowfall than last year. This is my own gut feeling, and as I said a day or two ago, the whole winter season, likely at least at Central Park, is going to hinge on just how much snow falls in December. If we have a front-loaded winter, virtually all the time, whenever we have a front-loaded winter with lots of snow in December, that usually spells out a big winter for the snow lovers. If we manage to get through December with not much, less than 3 inches, and in some cases maybe even less than 2 inches or even an inch, that doesn't bode well for a big winter overall, a big snowfall overall at Central Park. As we also pointed out, Joe, yesterday, the fact that Central Park may have below normal snowfall does not necessarily mean that someplace like where I live or where you used to live out on Eastern Long Island will end up with below normal, because the situation up here and out on Eastern Long Island is so much different at times during the winter as compared to what happens, let's say, in Midtown Manhattan. So we'll see.
Right, exactly. It's just one point, and as we've talked about this before. I actually went and used the same parameters, looking at different cities in the Northeast, like Albany and Hartford and Boston and Washington D.C. and Philadelphia, and oddly enough, that doesn't seem to work for those places. And for whatever reason, that one point at Central Park, it does work most of the time. There have been a few times when it hasn't worked, and those few times, by the way, happened in the last 10 years, I believe, a couple of instances. But it does kind of make sense, though, if you have a lot of snow in December, because that's telling you that the weather pattern is kind of locked in early and it'll hang around a while. But if you're dealing with a warm weather pattern that gives you very little snow during the month of December, it's likely that that pattern is going to carry over into at least part of January. And then you start, there's still plenty of time, and there could always be that one big snowstorm. But if the pattern is already unfavorable going into the first part of the winter, it's more likely than not to remain unfavorable for the second half of the winter. It just kind of makes sense that way.
Well, yeah, everything must fall into line a certain way, and we're only at the beginning. If you ask me, that snow map that you just showed of northern, Asia,
yeah.
Siberia, I think I could remember other Octobers at this point in October in other years where there was a lot more in the way of snow.
Not around the 6th of through the 5th of October. Didn't
we have didn't we have a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago, Canada was just chock filled with snow really early?
But that was toward the going into November. And you know what? It did. If I remember correctly, it didn't prevent us from having a warmer than normal winter anyway. So
right.
It's one of these things that works until everybody that works as long as nobody figures out that it actually does work, and then when everybody's figured out that it works, the indicator stops working. There's been actually ample snow growth in Alaska and in Northwest Canada, for what it's worth. I wouldn't use the first 5 days of October as a judge, though. I would, at the very least, we should probably wait till about the 15th, the middle of the month.
Right. Well, that's a week from this Friday.
Right. Correct.
So we're coming up on that. Yeah.
We'll see. We can actually, I can pull up. By the way, for those of you who are on my weather platform on Patreon, I cut a special video discussing the post I did on the long range and the upcoming winter on Monday. I got into it a little deeper with the upper air. So if you're interested, the link is pinned at the top of the chat board. Also want to acknowledge the chairman, Scott Briller, hitting super chat and saying, how rare is measured snow in October in Lake Parc de Central? Since 1869, Central Park has only recorded 4 days of measurable snow. October 29th, 2011, 2.9 inches.
That was my 14-inch heavy snowfall I had up here.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to bring the GFS's 16-day total snowfall, since we don't really have an audience watching in Siberia that I know of, unless you know somebody there. But over the next 16 days, just let the maps load here while the circle of death, gloom and doom. But here we go. You can see the now this is snowfall. It's not snow cover. That's two different things, because up here, some of the snow is going to fall and then it's going to melt. But it's actually through the 22nd, there's actually quite a bit of snow that spreads over on the western flank, which is probably more important than the eastern flank. And that area doesn't usually pick up its snows until mid-month and beyond. So we'll see how it plays out. It's always fun to look at the indicator, even if at the end of the day it ultimately doesn't really help you in terms of trying to figure out what kind of winter it's going to be.
You know what? It's going to be colder than it is now. We'll have some snow, more snow than we've had in recent days and weeks, and then it'll get warm again in April, and everything will go back to the way it was this summer, next summer.
That's
How's
right.
that for a long-range forecast?
Yes, that works for me. All right. If you were here yesterday, we could probably just repeat the same show. By the way, here's the 16-day snowfall in the United States and in North America. And you can see Western Canada does really well, back up through Alaska, and of course over Greenland and over the frozen parts of the Arctic, extending down through the Rockies, but nothing in the east except in southeastern Labrador, getting a little bit of snow there because that's where there's a trough that's hanging out near Newfoundland, and then you're getting a little bit of cold air that's funneling down from the north in that region. But obviously, nothing is making it into Hudson Bay or down into southeastern Canada yet, or even into central Canada around Lake Winnipeg. So it's all in the west as long as the trough remains in the west. And we'll check out the new GFS on that and see what it has to say. This was the old GFS, which had a actually is a pretty. This is out 2 weeks from now. Very blocky look here, if this is correct. And the Pacific actually writes itself if that animal storm in the Gulf south of the Gulf of Alaska is correct. So that's kind of interesting. Well, let's see compared to the new run. What does the new run have 2 weeks from now? Well, actually, it's not. It's actually not that. I mean, it's not that different. That's unusual. Usually, there's big differences here. But again, what we need to look for, and there's no guarantee, by the way, when it starts to show up inside the 10-day time frame, I'll pay attention to it a bit more. But in the meantime, I'm just running the jet backwards a little bit, running the GFS backwards here, and you can see the problem. You got this upper low in the lower Mississippi Valley that's moving northward. You've got a ridge that is, stuck right here in between. Where's my paint box? Where'd it go? There it goes. Here's your ridge. You got cold air up, just clipping Labrador, and that's about it. And a deep trough that's coming into the western part of the United States. There's your upper low, lifting up into the middle Mississippi Valley. And moving this forward, the ridge in the east doesn't really go away. The troughing in the west was replaced by another deep trough that dives out in the west. And we're probably going to have to wait until next Sunday when something finally breaks away from that western trough and swings eastward. And that might be the first, let's call it, quote unquote, meaningful cold front. Until then, there might not be much, unless that ocean stuff gets in here. Then that lifts out. And again, if you're looking for cold weather, this has got to go. This has got to change. If you have a look like this, this is just basically Pacific air that's screaming across not only the United States, but even going across into Canada. There's no cross-polar flow. You need the flow to come down from the northwest. And that means that what's out here in the Pacific, this deep upper low and all this troughing that extends from Eastern Asia all the way into the Pacific Northwest has got to go. And at least toward the very end of the forecast period, which now you're at October 22nd, it does start to change a little bit, but I think it's going to be, I think we may have to wait at least into the last days of October or maybe into the first week of November to watch the evolution of some kind of new pattern here, because nothing's going to happen between now and at least the 20th.
We don't have something like a super typhoon that's going to hit the Philippines or someplace way out off to the west that's going to move up into the polar regions and somehow manage to change or twist the upper level jet stream winds.
No, in fact, it's funny you bring that up because I actually did look to see what was. I don't look unless I see it. It's right in front of me. But I said, let me check to see if there's any kind of any typhoons out there and in the Western Pacific, because if they recurve east of Japan, sometimes they go up to the Gulf of Alaska, and as you said, Joe, they can do a little bit of wholesale pattern changing, but that doesn't. That's not on the maps. There's nothing as far as that goes. I'm going to roll back the surface map here and let the circle of death take over.
Yeah. Well, what can you say? We're stuck right now in this pattern with low level moisture You know, the middle and top layers are quite dry, but the low levels are what's contributing to all of that cloud cover and schmutz, as I call it. And yeah, we'll have to see where that system near the Bahamas. Like I said, the European wants to take that moisture from near the Bahamas and move it straight up into our area for Sunday and make Sunday a real wash, not really a washout. I mean, it's amazing how wet they're suggesting it's going to get here on Sunday.
The new GFS doesn't do that. Neither did the old one. It actually rotates the low into North Carolina and then kind of hangs it one low back off the Carolina coast, and then the rest of the energy goes out east northeast, and you still got this high that's sort of enveloped around it, cradled around it over the top near Nova Scotia, and then just backs down into the Appalachians. So. If you don't get the rain from this, Joe, you got to think that with that ocean flow like that, with an east or an east southeast wind, that the bottom layers of the atmosphere are probably going to have clouds, and it might be a situation where they have a tough time getting burned off if it doesn't wind up raining.
Right. It looks like the clouds are going to have the upper hand in this overall pattern, and we may not get much in the way of moisture. We may not get much in the way of precipitation, but it still looks like it will be rather dull and dreary. I really, Joe, we had apparently this morning either a shower or a light, band of rain over my area. I woke up this morning and I had the intention by late morning or midday to do the lawn. There was just enough moisture out there to wet the grass and to cause it to remain wet right on through a good part. I mean, not much sunshine to help to dry things out in the afternoon. So maybe tomorrow I'll get on the tractor and get a chance to cut the grass. But because you know what they call me up here, Joe, when I'm on my tractor mower, they call me the lawn ranger.
Yeah. Super chat hits tonight from David Schwartz, who wants me to get Dr. Judah Cohen on the show. I will do my best. I'll try. I'll send him an email and ask him if he'd like to come on. I think we were gentle with him the last time, so I don't think we were mean or anything. So hopefully he'll come on. Steve Lapointe hitting super chat tonight and reminding all of you to hit the like button, because Joe and I like it when you hit the like button. And Izzy D hitting super chat tonight. Many thanks to the three of you and the chairman, of course, hitting super chat. Take a look at, by the way, if the trough is in the west and it is October, the GFS is actually developing a nice looking storm here come a week from now or early next week with a low in Colorado that intensifies. What is that, an 87 low in central Nebraska with some heavy snow in eastern Wyoming and northern Colorado. And then, of course, there's not a whole lot of cold air. So the snow disappears as the low moves northward into the Dakotas. The upper flow is so messed up right now in Canada, Joe, that the snow is falling where the trough is its deepest, and the wavelength of the trough goes all the way down into Arizona. So you've got this, I guess we could call this do-it-yourself cold air, and that is why you see it there in the Rockies. But there's no cold. You would think that there would be cold enough in normal circumstances. It would also be cold in the Dakotas and cold up in central Canada, where they would get some snow, but not to be. A little bit on the northwest side there finally starts to develop late when the low gets up near Lake Winnipeg. But there's no cold air in Canada because there's no flow. The flow from Canada is from the south and southwest.
Well, you just have to manufacture it then.
Yes, exactly.
Look at this time of the year. What can you do?
Exactly. David, I got to get new glasses. Hold on. Let me wipe the frames off. Just a second.
Izzy D, by the way, says that he was out there today putting lime on 6 lawns in his neighborhood, 250 pounds of lime, took a total of 3 hours. Wants to know if Mrs. Rayo can come and help. Izzy D wants some help from my wife in putting down lime. I got to tell you something, Izzy. The next 3 days, Mrs. Rayo and I are going to be involved. We have in front of our driveway, Joe. Now you talk about, over at Omni, got mulch. We've got mulch, Joe. We had some trees taken down about 2 weeks ago, and the guy who did it for us chopped up all of that wood into mulch. I have a pile of mulch on my part of my driveway. It is literally 4 feet high. I actually took the snow shovel, and filled up a wheelbarrow today with it. And I looked at her when she came home this afternoon and said, "I'm calculating roughly that this pile is equivalent to about 30 wheelbarrows of mulch. So I figure we'll do 10 or 12 barrels a day. So that's what we're going to be doing probably tomorrow, Friday, and on Saturday, just hauling away mulch and putting it on her on parts of her parts of our lawn and whatever." But you Omni True Value, you asked the question, got mulch? Yes, I have more than my fair share of mulch, and that's what Mrs. Ray. So sorry about that, Izzy. She's not going to be able to help you out with your lime over the coming days ahead. She's going to be mulching, not liming.
David Aruda hitting super chat tonight. Thank you, David. Most appreciated. Joe and I thank you very much. And Daniel Fitzsimmons, is the National Weather Service the only source for archived weather? I've been going crazy looking for archived winter storms from each winter. Look, to me, my experience has been you just sort of have to hit and miss on Google and trying to find some stuff. I mean, the only other place I could suggest you go to is the website of the National Climatic Center in Asheville, North Carolina. They're like the data center for all the weather that goes on across the U.S. So you might find what you need there, but I don't know how much they charge to get. I think they have free stuff, but I don't know if you wanted to see specific storms, how you would, unless you knew the dates. They do have some tree data there.
I think I may have some. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send this to you, because when I post it, it's not a link, but I'm going to send you the link here. The national the NOAA Weather Library, which has every single weather map going back to 1871. So
don't send it on Messenger. Email it to me.
That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
I'm going to do that right now. So you could go there, and what you could do is you can look at all of the maps. This is amazing. I mean, if you want to see what the weather map looked like for the blizzard of 1888, they have it. Some of you may have in your long distant past, you may have actually subscribed to daily weather maps and gotten it in the mail. And it used to come on a daily basis, then it came on a weekly basis. But they have every one of these maps going all the way back to the 1870s. Somebody obviously just sat there and scanned them and put them up on a website. And that if you want to see that, I'm going to do it right now. I'm sending it to you right now, Joe.
Okay.
And you can put it online. And now the thing is, you can either get it one of two ways. You can get it as a PDF, which takes up a lot more space on your computer, or you can download something called Deja Vu, which is a program which will allow you to see the maps, but it won't take up as much space as would a PDF. But I'm just sending it to you now. NOAA Maps, and I don't know why I just hang on for one more second here. I want to make it so it's a link for you, Joe.
Okay.
This way it'll be a link for everybody. Okay, there you go, and send. So I just sent it to you, and you could put it online and on the chat board.
You sent it to my Gmail account?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, there it is. I got it. All right, so I'll put it up on the chat board right now, and copy link address, and here it is. So for those of you who are really into the climate stuff, And there's the link. It's up on the chat board, even as I typed it. There it goes. So great. Always good. It's all lots of fun stuff to check out while you sit for reality to you sit and wait for reality to catch up.
Yes. Yes. And the interesting thing is, I'm sure you've gotten this too. People come to us and they say, I'm looking for such and such, and I'm at my wit's end because I can't find what I'm looking for, and blah, 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 blah. And then you just come right along and say, here, try this. And they come back to you, thank you so much. This is wonderful. It's nice to make somebody's day. I think we were, in terms of weather, Joe, you and I were put on this earth to make people happy.
Yeah, exactly. Daniel, that was the National Climactic Center in Asheville, North Carolina. Okay. Let me see if I can find the link really quick. I'll put that up also. But just Google it. Okay. National Climactic Center.
Bill Rogers wants to know I'd like you to pull up the weather map for November 22nd, 1963, which of course is the day when President Kennedy was assassinated. The weather played a role, believe it or not, in that very sad occasion. The president was in his limousine, and on that limousine they had a plastic bubble top. I'm not sure if it was bulletproof or not, but certainly it may have changed the way things ultimately ended up. And the morning of that day, November 22nd, in Fort Worth, it was cloudy. It was damp. It was rainy, and they said, "Well, it looks like we're gonna have to have the bubble top, put on the car because we certainly can't let, the president drive on a motorcade when it's raining." But then when they went to Dallas, Texas, the weather cleared up. The forecast back then was for clouds and a chance for rain or showers, but inexplicably, or probably because they didn't have the kind of weather data we have access to today, the skies cleared very quickly, and it was a beautiful sunny midday and afternoon as the president moved through the motorcade. And we all know what happened, at the end of the motorcade. Had it been rainy, or had they put the bubble top on the car or kept it on the limousine, again, history may have changed. But the weather did play a role in that, and that's kind of unfortunate.
Links are up there on the chat board, folks, for the weather maps site that Joe mentioned, and also the link to the National Climactic Center in Asheville, North Carolina, if you're looking for back data. And Christinapedia says our new tagline should be the Joe and Joe Weather Show, making people happy one forecast at a time. Works for me. Now, I don't.
Yes.
I do not have a Briller Jeopardy. Well, before we even get to Briller Jeopardy, just a heads up and a reminder. So, no show tomorrow because there's really not much going on. So we'll just pretty much are repeating ourselves at this point. Every once in a while that happens when the pattern gets as boring as this. But no show tomorrow, no show Friday, no show Saturday. We'll be back Sunday night. Okay, so it'll be a Sunday night show and probably at 7:30. All right, so the Dayside football games will be ending. The 8:30 game will start at 8:30, and we'll just kind of put ourselves right in there before those games start. And the Yankees lost yesterday, so I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of the New York Yankee fans are not going to be occupied by the next round of the playoffs. I turned on ESPN last night, Joe. I was flipping channels, and they had the Yankee Red Sox game, and oh God, I mean, once upon a time, they didn't put all that stuff on the screen. So I'm looking at the upper corner, and I see all these numbers and dots and all this stuff, and all I wanted to know was, what inning is this? And I'm looking at these numbers, and I'm like, what is this? And they had Boss, and which is the number? Is it the second inning, or are there 2 outs? It's like, My God, can't we just like watch a ball game without having all this crap thrown at you? And then the announcers, for a certain, when they had the announcers back in the day, they kind of knew when to, something I don't know how to do, shut up. Every once in a while, at least they would like, there'd be some natural pauses. These guys are talking all the time. And they're making these lame jokes out of puns that are just not funny. I don't know. I don't have patience anymore. I really don't. Well, I just heard thunder.
Okay.
Either that or a bear walked in the house. Hang on a second. No bear.
The great Vin Scully always said that at a pivotal point in any baseball game, he just shut up. He just let the pictures do the talking. When he and Joe Garagiola were at Game 6 when the ball went through Bill Buckner's legs. So the ball went through Buckner's legs, and Scully is yelling into the microphone, "Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it!" Knight crosses the plate. For the next 5 minutes, you heard nothing out of either Garagiola or Scully. All you saw were pictures of the fans, of the Met players, of the Red Sox dugout, downcast, Buckner walking by himself back to the dugout, head down or whatever. Didn't say anything for like 5 minutes. And then finally, after all of that, Vin Scully says, "If one picture is worth 1,000 words, you have seen about 1,000,000 words."
Yeah,
and it was true.
Yeah,
it's true.
The announcers that they have on there, just they have to speak. They're all competing for time, and I wonder whether they sit around and count get a word count over who said more words than the other. I knew 2 anchors that used to do that. They used to count the words on the script, and one anchor had more words than the other anchor. The other anchor would complain. It's just like, really, what are we, 5-year-olds? Yeah, just shut up. I don't need to know about these shoes. I don't need to know. They throwing all these stats out. Forget it. That's why I don't watch baseball anymore. They've absolutely ruined the game.
Anyway, I have your Briller Jeopardy questions for tonight.
Okay. There was something else on Super Chat now. Oh, JJ's asleep. He's here. He does what he does well when the show is on there. He comes in the bedroom with me and he just falls asleep. But he got a bath today. I took him into the shower and gave him a shampoo. He was not a happy camper, but he needed it.
No, they never are happy campers.
No, he did not like. He doesn't like going in there. But now he smells very pretty.
Yes. So here we are with another Tropical Systems retired letter from Mr. Giaffi.
All right, let me get my pad and pen. I got to write these things down because I'm as Steve LaPointe correctly pointed out, I'm getting old, or have gotten old. Let's see. Okay, I have my pad. I have my pen. So go ahead.
This is the letter K, and there are only 3 Ks that have been retired.
3 Ks.
Right.
3 Ks. Well, is one of them the longevity Hurricane Kyle? Did they retire that? They didn't. Okay, so it's not Kyle. K. Oh, brother. I'm trying to think of the K names. I'm drawing a complete blank.
Do you know a fellow by the name of Kevin Oka?
Oka? OKA?
Yeah.
No, doesn't ring a bell.
This guy is, whenever I post forecasts on my Facebook pages, he's always saying the same thing. Bring back 90-degree weather. Bring back the heat. I want hot weather. I just looked at this latest guy said, "Bring back the 90-degree weather, Joe." Like I had anything to do with this, but I was just wondering whether or not he.
Buy a plane ticket to the southern hemisphere. You get all the 90-degree weather you want now that they're going into their spring,
right,
and eventually into their summer. Anyway,
so do you want the three names? Do you want the three names since you're drawing a complete blank?
No, I'm drawing an absolute complete blank. I'm trying to think off the top of my head.
I'll give you a last name.
Wait. Katrina.
Actually, believe it or not, you know what? You know what he did?
What?
And Scott, if I'm correct in my assumption, please put it on the chat board right now. He has for 2005, which was the year of Katrina.
Right.
He has Christina. He has Christina.
No, he means Katrina.
He has to mean Katrina. Yeah.
So Katrina was one. K. Were any of them prior to the year 2000?
Yes, one.
One was prior to the year 2000. That was retired.
And it was retired. I'll give you the year, 1990. And I'll tell you why it was retired. It was due to its impact on Martinique. It was retired. It only made it to a category 1, but it had apparently significant effects, I would presume flooding, in Martinique, and earned a retirement.
I have no idea.
How about if I say a last name, and let's see if you can get the first name? Bueller.
Bueller?
Yeah.
That's the last name?
Yeah.
I have no idea. The only Bueller I can think of is Ferris Bueller.
Ferris Bueller. How about Klaus?
Oh, Klaus. No, you meant Von Bülow.
Klaus Von Bülow?
Von Bülow, yes.
Yes. All right. Hey, so look.
So we got Katrina and Klaus.
The chairman, Katrina and Klaus. or Christina and Von Bülow.
Right, exactly. and the third one was in what year?
2020.
Last year?
2020, last year. Mexico, Belize, category 4.
Oh, good Lord. I forgot. I forgot. Go ahead.
I'll give you a last name again. Eichner.
Oh, Keith?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's it then. Katrina, Klaus, and
there
Keith.
They are.
The 3 Ks.
Yes.
All right. So.
And here's a bonus.
Yes.
Here's bonus. How many tropical systems were retired in the Atlantic Basin? And you need to get it to within 20 for credit. So how many tropical systems were retired occurring in the Atlantic Basin?
In total?
The grand total. The grand total. The grand total.
Oh God, I'll say 90.
My God, 93.
Really, 93?
Almost got it right on the nose.
Whoa, yeah. I remember. You know what, Joe? I think a couple of weeks ago I was reading an article about this, about hurricanes and retired hurricane and the names, and for some reason the number 90 stuck in my head. So that's. I didn't remember the exact number, but I got it I got certainly within the range of 20, and I was close.
And if you had gotten to it in 1, if you had said 92 or 94, you know what? You would have won both showcases.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, good Lord, the world we live in.
If you won the clock game and within 10 seconds, you would have gotten $1 million.
Right. Do they still have that game?
Yeah, they still
do. With the yodeler going up?
Yep.
Oh God. I haven't watched The Price is Right. I don't think I've watched since Bob Barker left. I think I've watched. I happened to catch Drew Carey, maybe flipping channels once in a while, 10 or 15 years ago. But I don't. I watch very little television. Actually, one of the best movies for me, one of my top 5 movies of all time, is on tonight on Turner Classic Movies, All About Eve, and it started at 8 o'clock with the absolutely wonderful and brilliant Thelma Ritter. So it's hard for me to miss. And by the way, can you hear me since you took your headsets off?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So anyway, just for you movie buff fans, I happened to watch last night, and they were doing some. Sometimes Turner Classic Movies shows these foreign movies that were done, in the 40s and 50s, and they were showing Italian neo-realist movies, which apparently was a big deal in the 1940s. And this was Roberto Rossellini's movie. It's called Rome, Open City, and I thought it was a great movie. Obviously, it was all in Italian, but since I can understand Italian, it's not. I didn't really have to read the subtitles. But this was a movie about the Nazi occupation in World War II in Rome. And the thing is that the movie was actually shot while the war was still going on. So there was there was a lot of realism in what was happening in the scenes there that was part of this movie, and the acting actually was exceptional, including the great Anna Magnani. I don't know if you know the actress Anna Magnani, but she was an Italian actress that became a worldwide acting sensation in the late 40s and 50s. She won an Oscar for The Rose Tattoo. Really very good actress. But if you ever get a chance to see this movie, it's called Rome, Open City, and it was on Turner Classic Movies last night. So anyway, I want to get to Thelma Ritter because I can't live my life without at least seeing her once a week.
I just want to let you know that all of you can go on YouTube and type in Price is Right cliffhanger, and you will have over 1 hour of this music. Oh, wait a minute. Over 1 hour of this.
Oh my God!
Right then. I'm not going to play anymore because there may be a copyright issue.
Don't play no more. All right, folks. So thanks tonight for all the super chat hits. The weather is calm and quiet, so as I said, no show the next three nights, and we will be back Sunday night. Okay, Sunday night at 7:30. So I will hit you with a wet noodle if you message me on Sunday asking me what time is the morning show. There is no morning show on Sunday. It will be at Sunday night at 7:30. That is, by the way, that's tentatively scheduled, assuming that I get back in time from what I have to do. And once again, just a couple of reminders. If you want more on the winter weather stuff, the link is on the chat, pinned to the top of the chat for my weather platform on Patreon. Also, this show is available as a podcast, or it will be in about an hour. So you can always, if you missed the Joe and Joe show and you want to listen to it driving in your car, or maybe you're out running or exercising, you can find the Joe and Joe Weather Show on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, Stitcher, and any place that that podcasts call their home. So make a note of that. In case you can't make the show, you could always listen to it as a podcast. Okay, anything else for you to say? Because I'm wiped.
I'm just going to say 2 words. Goodbye.
And I will echo those 2 words. Good night, everyone.